Well, it is finally time. I am nearing the end of my camper DIY remodel project, and now I can finally step outside and attend to my side yard. I really want to have a nice space you can get out of the camper in and go relax and kind of expand. Originally, I wanted to put a small floating deck over here beside the camper so that guests can hang out and kind of get outside and escape the small space, but I just didn't think I had the skill set yet to do a floating deck. Maybe in a later video I'll try to attempt that. I really just need a small mini space outdoors to accompany my mini camper. It needs to be really clearly defined with clear boundaries, and it needs to be budget friendly and girl friendly. For edging, I went with wood because I found these pretty large pieces of wood for only $8 a piece, and it was much cheaper than the metal edging or even the plastic edging that I priced at the hardware store. I also got a lot of stepping stones so people know exactly where to put their feet. It's going to be really nice having these stepping stones because I really started to wear down the grass back here. If you're anything like me, then you get really annoyed when stepping stones are not placed correctly for your specific leg length. It takes me multiple attempts to get these just right for me. I have especially long legs, so I get really mad if the stepping stones are either too close or too far apart. But when they're perfect, they're perfect. These stones were only about $2.50 a piece, so again, it's just a really low budget project and it makes a big difference in my day-to-day enjoyment of being and working here. Again, I'm really looking to create just a really well-defined space, kind of a zone that you can escape to from inside the camper. I really picked up so many ideas over the past few years in watching YouTube gardening channels. I'm by no means an expert landscape designer. One tip from watching all the gardening shows I did manage to store away in the recesses of my mind is that you want to lead people out on a pathway to a specific destination. The pathway needs to be very inviting, and the destination needs to have a place where you can sit or relax that encourages you to stay a while. I'll call this place my escape zone. Here I'm going ahead and putting down some 20-year landscape fabric, so I think it will last a very long time. I'm going to be putting down some gravel on top of this so that it will be a nice compacted area for guests to sit on a rocking chair and maybe even grill. I like the idea of people grilling or doing a fire on top of gravel. It makes me feel like it's a little bit safer than doing it on grass. I found some leftover connecting hardware in my garage and some screws. I'm going to use these to connect the wood together and hold my frame in place. If you're anything like me, you absolutely live for the moment when you get to repurpose items that are unused in your garage. I don't care if it's like a box of nails or like here I'm using some old stain that I have that didn't get used up, and it just makes me so happy because I feel like I'm not being wasteful. Sometimes I feel bad because I'm storing so much stuff and I think, oh, I should just be throwing this away, but then one day that hour, that moment comes where you have exactly what you need in that moment, and it's like everything's complete. I'm happy that I had this black stain on hand. I think it looks really elegant, really classy. It really pops nicely against the green grass, and I think it'll look even better once I put the gravel in the middle of my space. I'm so happy to actually just be putting some kind of feature over here in this side yard. It just looked so empty and blank before I started building this, and I think it already looks better. I think maybe next year I might learn how to make a floating deck. I absolutely love floating decks, but I just didn't think I was ready to take on a new skill set yet. I just have a little too much going on, and I think this will be a much simpler project for me to accomplish. Okay, and I think I'm ready for some gravel. And of course, no DIY project would be complete without my 80-year-old neighbor, Mr. Leo, stopping by to inspect my work. He really does enjoy giving me his stamp of approval, or sometimes telling me what I should have done differently. I'm going to go ahead and start making some planter pots. These are pots I already had in my garage, again, not used from other projects. I'm going to fill them up with some discounted plants that I bought at Lowe's. I want to stop to do these planters right now so that the plants have time to get much bigger. I guess the only really new thing I bought for this outdoor space, and the most expensive item, was this swing, and it was actually only $100 on Amazon, so not really even that expensive. I may upgrade it to a nicer seating arrangement later, but I think it serves its purpose well for now. I did buy a few bushes because I'm going to plant them along this back fence. I want them to grow up nice and big for some added privacy and greenery for this space. I think that these are really healthy looking bushes, and I'm gonna trim them a little bit more like trees instead of bushes. So I think it will give a really nice privacy screening back here. The thing I absolutely love about bushes is that they are green year-round, so you have that constant foliage and privacy. Okay, here we go, my least favorite part of this little DIY adventure, and that is the gravel. I went ahead and bought 1/2 yard of gravel. This is crushed granite, and it was pretty cheap. It was only 60 bucks for all of this gravel. It's still a pretty backbreaking job though, so I just go slow, take my time, and think about other things. This is my second time having rocks dumped directly in the back of my truck, and each time I do it I always say, oh, I'm never going to do this again, because it really is a lot of work cleaning out your truck bed, and then the rocks get stuck in the tailgate area and kind of mess up the hinges a little bit, so I really don't recommend it. I recommend getting some kind of pull behind trailer to move gravel in the future. I think that's what I'll be doing. This is actually kind of fun. Something I like doing is raking out the gravel. Kind of reminded me of Japanese rock gardens. Maybe in the future I'll make like an American version of a Japanese rock garden and do fun designs in the gravel all day. Okay, here I'm cutting away the excess landscape fabric. Now that the gravel is in place, I can trim it all down and it looks pretty clean. Stepping on the gravel really helps to compress it, and now I'm ready to put my swing into place and see how everything fits together and how much space I'm left over with. There's actually a lot of stuff I need to add into this tiny space, and I'm kind of wondering how it's all going to fit. In keeping with my mini theme, I found this tiny grill that will fit nicely inside my outdoor chest. I have some string lights that I'm going to use to create a nice nighttime glow. Now here I'm actually trying to light my mini chimenea that I've had for a very long time, but I've always been unsuccessful in lighting it, so in the end I ended up just taking the chimenea away altogether. I had to remember my limitations when working in such a tiny space. It really reminds you that it does actually take a lot of discipline to live a tiny lifestyle and to work within your limitations and still be happy. Okay, my favorite part, which is cleanup. I absolutely love the cleanup part of any DIY project because that means you're getting close to the end. I found here by spraying off the gravel, it actually really helped it settle into place and it kind of washed away all the chalky ash that was on it. I found these 2 pillows on sale. I really like them, and they are outdoor pillows, so they should last for a long time. My camper now has an adjoining mini outdoor space, and I couldn't be happier. It really is amazing how just a few stepping stones can create a mental shift inside you. And here it is, I've arrived at my destination for relaxation. A big improvement for my side yard, and I think my camper is a lot happier having this space beside it. The chest that I built with scrap wood last week has turned out really nice, and I can store so much stuff inside of it. This was a budget-friendly way to provide a little bitty escape zone for my camper, and now for my favorite part of any DIY project, which is testing out my work. Well, I'm missing one of my fingernails, but it was a small price to pay for such a great outdoor space. I think my blood pressure has really gone down, and I'm ready to relax for the summer. Until next time, guys, let's keep on DIYing those projects.